If you get in a car crash due to negligent behavior, such as texting, you should automatically lose your license for at least a year. If you are driving on a straight highway in perfect weather and you get into a car crash because you are screwing around on your phone, you have inconvenienced thousands of people and should lose your license for a very long time as punishment. How is distracted driving while eating any worse? The way I see this, today, there is no excuse to text with your fingers. With Siri, Google, and all the other voice-activated features, you can listen to and respond to texts without even looking away from the road. I feel zero remorse for people who get into accidents while texting. Zero. You made a choice, and now you are suffering the consequences. Hold up, hold up. Are people truly on here defending texting and driving? You know what, the people that defend it can die in a crash for all I care, just don't kill innocent people because of your selfishness. You definitely ain't that important. Have you ever noticed how angry the sub is, and how unpopular opinions in general revolve around punishing some group of people somehow or some group of people being accountable for something? Do you know how many people already drive without a license and don't give two shits? Almost all vehicle collisions are due to negligent behavior. Are you really saying that if you are at fault in an accident, you should lose your license for an extended period of time? Here's something to consider: 30,000 plus Americans will die in a vehicle collision next year. That number could drop to zero if we banned cars. It would drop to almost zero if we mandated speed control on cars, limiting them to 15 miles per hour. Either way, we've just saved 30,000 lives minimum. That's just one country. But many people will be outraged at the loss of mobility. The economic impacts would be disastrous. The truth is that most people are ready to risk their lives for the convenience of mobility. They are also ready to risk their lives for the convenience of mobile communication. The popular opinion is that convenience is more important than safety, and old people need to get their license check done yearly. 70 and over. I always said that, also if it is your fault you should pay for every damage you caused. In the UK, if a driver of less than 2 years is found using their phone at all while operating a vehicle, then their license is revoked and taken off them. They have to reapply for a provisional. I think it should be rolled out for all drivers. In NC, if anyone is injured, you do lose it for a year. In addition, after a certain age, senior drivers should have to have some sort of re-evaluation annually. I personally have had many more dangerous situations with old drivers going too slow or being unaware than any other young driver. In West Virginia, it's totally cool to run over and kill people with your car, especially when you have family members as state troopers. My 95-year-old grandmother, who still worked at a fruit processing plant, was checking at her daughter's house, when a 22-year-old girl plowed her down. The girl said it was my grandmother's fault and she was busy singing to her 2 children in the car. Her state trooper uncle was there, her word was gold. My grandmother was able to respond for about 30 minutes after the accident before she totally blacked out and died on the helicopter. There wasn't even anything in the paper/online news-wise about it because the police hushed it up. They didn't even give this girl a fucking ticket. She said she wasn't on her phone, so they just scrolled through for a few seconds and handed it back. She also said she was going the speed limit. The police were like, okay, we'll take it. The prosecuting attorney and my uncle went out to the crash scene and determined she was going double the speed limit and was driving about 70 in a 35 miles per hour zone. She didn't swerve, no skid marks, nothing. My grandmother couldn't hear, so she probably didn't hear it coming. If this girl wasn't going twice the limit and actually looking at the road, we'd still have this very special person. All this just happened in July. She was talking about working one more apple season to pay her car off. Her posture was better than most 20-year-olds. To have her taken from our lives in such a violent manner, and then for the girl that killed her isn't even being punished. They didn't even drug test this girl. She avoided all the embarrassment from the news, and she won't even accept what she did. I would say, well, she has to live with knowing she killed someone, but she won't even accept blame. All of this is just so awful. My grandmother had 8 children, 14 grandchildren, and so many great and great-great-grandchildren. All of this has been like a nightmare. If this has happened in VA or MD, this girl would have been charged with vehicular manslaughter. It's already against the law to text and drive, and I don't know how a system that determines if the driver was negligent would work, but a good system were to be implemented, then I'm all for it. If you crash in Norway, you automatically loses your license only to get it back after an investigation. Depending on why you crashed and who you hurt, I think the punishment should vary. As a person recovering from being hit from behind at 65 miles per hour by a texting driver, I couldn't agree more. It was his 4th at-fault injury accident. If he'd lost his license the first time, 3 others would have been spared.